And good evening, Manitoba hockey fans. It's currently 7:01 on this fine Monday evening, September 15th, 2025. And yeah, welcome into episode 2, season 2 of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast. We got some sponsors to show you on screen this week. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Another year for them sponsoring us. Thank you to them for their support. Terrico is back as well, serving Manitoba producers in the agricultural industry for over 80 years. And we also got a new sponsor that we're going to be adding into our mix this year, a gym that I think you'll all be excited about, knowing that they're going to be a sponsor for us this year, and that would be Movement Fitness and Performance. Movement Fitness and Performance. It's a training and membership-based facility. It's a Winnipeg gym, and yeah, be sure to check them out at 1111 Winnipeg Avenue at, I think it's building number 3 would be where you can find them at that address. And yeah, thank you to them for supporting us this season, as well as Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia and Terrico. You'll be seeing them featured on our content in various ways this year, on our podcast, on our social media feed, as well as potentially on our game day broadcast this year, which, speaking of our game day broadcast, as we broke the news last Tuesday in the premiere of season 2 for this podcast, we got league and all access passes available now, subscription packages. That's what those would be. We offer them at a monthly or annual rate. Be sure to check out the prices today at gshowproductions.uscreen.io. We're going to be bringing you over 200 regular season games, playoff games, showcase, and tournament games this season, all combined from the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, the Manitoba Female U18 AAA Hockey League, and the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League. As for our first big event, it's coming up this weekend, the 2025 Central Plains Capitals Showcase, from September 19th to the 21st, so this Friday until this Sunday at Stride Place Arena in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. 11 teams in total, 2 from Saskatchewan, and the Prince Albert Northern Bears and the Weyburn Goldwings will be competing in this tournament. Weekend passes $35 for 14 games. Single game prices will be $5. We're working something out right now. This is a little hiccup I learned with Uscreen, but the deal with them is that, say you're to purchase the live event, you would only get that live event. So don't worry, I'm looking into it right now. We're sorting it out in terms of finding a way for those who ended up paying for the live event already, that they can end up getting the game for free afterwards. But that's only if you purchase the single game event. If you do purchase our weekend pass, which would be through our Central Plains Capitals bundle, once you purchase that bundle, you'll get access to all of those games live and afterwards without paying again. But yeah, that's something we're going to sort out. It's just the way Uscreen is. Wish I could customize it in a way where it would be easy, but yeah, we're going to make it simple for you all coming up to enjoy our content to the best of how you want to be able to consume our content this year. But speaking of the Central Plains Capital Showcase, I'm going to have the tournament organizer on later on in the show, and Ferdi Nelissen, sorry. So much going on today. I also interviewed someone named Gordy Temmelson. He's going to be appearing on this week's Buffaloes podcast, our official Piedmont Hockey Academy podcast. But no, Ferdi Nelissen is going to be joining this edition of the show coming up in a bit. But first off, we're going to bring on Kevin Saurette, the president of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. He makes his return to this podcast the first time he's going to be returning to it for season 2, as he joined us last year in 2024-2025 for season 1 of this show. And yeah, Kevin joins me to talk about how preseason's gone in the MJHL, touching a bit on last year and looking ahead to the opening night of the 2025-2026 MJHL season, which is this Friday night on the 19th. So without further ado, join me in welcoming in Kevin Saurette, president of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, the MJHL, here on the Manitoba Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Movement Fitness and Performance, Terrico, and Ken Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. President of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, Kevin Saurette, making his return to the Manitoba Hockey Podcast. Kevin, what a season we saw last year in the MJHL, capped off with the Northern Manitoba Blizzard taking home the championship. A lot of competitiveness throughout the standings last season once again. Take me back to the year that was 2024-2025 for the MJ.
Yeah, like you said, it was a pretty amazing year, on and off the ice, especially when you're talking about on the ice and the competitive nature of our league. Parity's been, a very strong point of our league over the last few years, and last season was no different. We had two very strong divisions. The playoff matchups, for the most part, went down to the last couple weeks of the regular season. Um, Playoffs picked up right where the regular season ended off, and even looking back at last year, I think a bit of the narrative was that our East Division was a stronger division with stronger teams at the top, and when you got through the playoffs and you go to our championship series, it was two teams from the West, facing off for the Turnbull Cup. So an amazing, to cap that all off, it was a 7-game series in the championship final, and the game 7 went to triple overtime. So as a league, you really couldn't ask for a better situation. And Northern Manitoba had a great season. They actually went into the playoffs ranked 6th overall.
Yeah.
So they came out as champions, and they represented themselves very well. They ran into a little bit of injury troubles in the Centennial Cup and the national championship, but they finished first in their pool, and they had a great run. So it was a amazing season that way. And obviously, we're a development league, and it was one of our best years ever for advancing players to higher levels, be it NCAA, Major, Junior in the Western Hockey League, U Sports, NHL development camps. That's really what the league's all about. And one major focus of our teams is providing those elite athletes with opportunities to not only develop but advance and give them exposure, to those higher levels. So obviously we were very proud of obvious the competitive nature of the league overall, and then the number of advancements and the development opportunities that we provided our players.
Yeah, and not only our alumni getting opportunities in big time programs, big time places, but also being recognized for their leadership as Terriers alumni Owen Murray named UMass team captain this year. When we talk about building program, though, back in 2021, 2022, under, old management and a whole different name than they had when they donned the championship last year. But this franchise had missed the playoffs. A strong past few years building up to the championship season. Last year with a lot of veterans on that team. Take me through what it was like witnessing that franchise really build into what it did throughout those past few years to the championship success they had.
Yeah, it was neat to see. Obviously, a new ownership brought a fresh new perspective to the program, and they really wanted to, to represent the North as best they could, both on and off the ice. And there's a lot of financial put into it, a lot of just work and standards updating standards, and making it a program of choice and a place of choice for players to go. And did a very good job. Obviously, Eric, their previous head coach, who's moved on, built a great program on the ice and um, obviously very, very competitive in how they played and how hard they worked. So it was neat to see a team go through that transformation and get rewarded with the championship. It's every team in our league strives to do that, and I think every team in our league has had those different moments in their history. But it's one of our biggest focus right now is raising the standard of the league and raising the standard of each member organization. So it was really neat to watch that process and how it all culminated and came together in a championship for the Blizzard.
No doubt about it. And, for Northern Manitoba, they had quite a strong preseason last year. Not as strong to start things off as they're still searching to get into that win column. But talk about the preseason, how it's been so far. Teams from the SJ coming over to play to get prepared for their season. Talk about that, how much of a benefit that brings for these teams to not only get a feel for what their teams may look like, but to play teams from a whole another province as well.
Yeah, I mean, preseason's an important time for the teams, obviously, as the exhibition season, as you go through it, the number of veteran players starts to build, closer towards the opening weekend. A lot of the first few games are just younger rosters and prospects that will probably be in the league in the next year or two, but not necessarily this season. So it's always fun to watch from my vantage point, just seeing how the teams build and seeing the veterans coming back, and then you start to see which players might be back from the Western Hockey League camps and what trades have been made and what young, elite prospects are coming into the league. So usually the competitiveness ramps up until obviously this past weekend, ending on Sunday. Um, yeah, and to play other leagues, I think it's just adds something different. It's always neat to, a lot of these teams they play the same teams during the season, so it's just something different. You're going to be facing these teams sooner than later. So a lot of our teams they like to play the SJ or play the SIJHL or play the NAHL teams. And, I don't take a lot of stock into the scores of those games, but I know it's always fun for the players to maybe play someone a little bit different or go somewhere that they might not usually go during the season.
Right, for sure. And great to see that not just SJ teams joining, but teams from other leagues from around North America coming down to face off against these MJHL teams. Like you said, preseason concluded this past Sunday, so yesterday as we're doing this interview. Next up is the regular season, which starts this Friday. A loaded opening weekend schedule. Starting off, Swan Valley is going to be at home, Wayway's Capo. We're going to see action in Niverville as well as Winkler and Selkirk on opening night. That's always kind of the norm. Hey, loading up that opening night. How excited is the league to see the 2025-2026 season start off with such a loaded schedule once again?
Yeah, it's always one of the most exciting weekends, opening weekend. It's filled with enthusiasm by all the teams. Everyone's at the same spot in the standings right now, and the whole year's in front of them. And for me, it's always neat to see the home openers of each building and the full buildings and the atmosphere and the excitement of fans to be back in the rink, and obviously the excitement for the players to be playing meaningful hockey again since last season. And but really, yeah, our opening weekend is always going to be full, the Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and I think almost every team plays their home opener this weekend. So it'll be exciting. A lot of, obviously our social media will be working overtime and the marketing and promotion of the league and all of the teams will be doing the same. And it's just a great opening weekend to kick off the 26-27 season. Or sorry, the 25-26 season. I can't get ahead of myself.
Oh, for sure. We're not quite there yet, but talking about just one last thing here. You talked about continuing to improve the league and continuing to evolve. How huge has that been throughout these years of not only the product in the league, continuing to stay strong, but just like you said, the exposure that the marketing team has been able to produce for this league as well.
Yeah, it's obviously a very, very important piece is just the branding and the promotion and the marketing of the league and the players that play in it. We want to be the number one development league in in North America. And, we've always focused on knowing we're a development league and making sure that we're providing everything we can to make this our programs of choice for the players and families. I think in years past, it might have been the MJHL might have been seen as like a second, third, or fourth choice pro league. But now I think it's a first or second choice league. If you're not going to the Western Hockey League tryouts, you're coming to the MJHL, and obviously the NCAA ruling has added to that. And for us, it's we've always promoted advancement to both those levels. We've never singled one out over the other. It's we want as many players from the MJHL playing in the highest levels possible, and with these players that are able to get Division One commitments and continue to have their eligibility while also trying WHL or getting a commitment in the MJHL and then moving to the WHL the next season. Those are things we've never seen before, but are happening now and happened this past season. And I think it's exciting, and our teams are excited about it. And we might not have players in our league as long as normally they would have been, under the old stipulations with NCAA eligibility. But as long as we're advancing players to higher levels, that's always a positive point. And then, as long as our other focus is just making sure it's very, very competitive elite hockey, so it's enjoyable for the fans across this province.
Yeah, and that's something that has been on display throughout, well, the past few years for sure, ever since I've been really starting to follow the MJHL. And also going to be fun this year, Kevin. We didn't mention this and didn't really talk about it, but just regardless, the name change being cool, the Freeze going to the Winnipeg Monarchs this season. Should be another great year of MJHL hockey. Regular season starts this Friday. With 5 games on the schedule. If you can't make it to the rink, be sure to watch it on Flow Hockey. Kevin Saurette, president of the MJHL, joining this edition of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast. Kevin, thanks as always.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Kevin Saurette joining this edition of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Terrico Movement Fitness and Performance and Ken Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. And speaking of the MJHL, we'll get into how their preseason ended off, the scores in just a moment. But before we do that, we take a look at the Manitoba U18 AAA Hockey League. Now, this has been a trend throughout the past few years. I don't understand why, but none of the scores have been reported from this past weekend. I'm sure that's going to change as the weeks coming up are going to follow, so we'll have all the updates on how the preseason scores ended up playing out once they do get reported. But preseason continues tonight in the league. The Parkland Rangers in Portage La Prairie take on the Central Plains Capitals, an all-Winnipeg matchup, and the Winnipeg Wild and the Winnipeg Thrashers. Only one matchup on Wednesday night, another on Thursday night, so 2 solo matchups coming up this week, and then a doubleheader on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday is when things are really going to get busy in this league, as the regular season coming up very quickly in the Manitoba U18 AAA Hockey League, as they'll be starting off on October 26th. We'll have that schedule for you, the opening season of the U18 AAA Male League here in the province when the time comes. As for the MJHL, how preseason ended up wrapping up in this league, we saw some OT and shootout action in the preseason. Some teams putting up some big wins as well. The SJHL's Flin Flon Bombers, they've been dominating in the preseason here in the MJ, and they actually finished their preseason, I believe, with a perfect record of 5-0, only giving up 9 goals and putting up 34 goals for. I know it's just preseason, but what a statement to start off the 2025-2026 season to play before the regular season has even started. Moving into, I guess, the final games of the preseason, which ended off this weekend, we saw Portage and Swan Valley both putting up 7 spots on their fellow MJHL opponents. Verdun repping Manitoba strong against Estevan with a 5-0 win. And then 2 decisive wins to end off preseason back on Sunday, as Portage with a 6-1 victory over uh, Nipawa, and then the Winkler Flyers with a strong 4-1 win over the Winnipeg Monarchs. As for who the best teams were in this year's preseason, Verdun, in terms of the Manitoba-based teams, finished with the most points at 8. The Winnipeg Blues with a strong preseason, a 3-1-1 record. No undefeated teams from the Manitoba side. And very interesting, the Northern Manitoba Blizzard, after having a very strong preseason, the defending champs, of course, they had some roster turnover, but totally opposite preseason for them as they go 0-5, only scoring 9 goals while giving up 29. But, of course, the regular season, that's when the real games begin. And as for the MJHL, this is how the opening weekend schedule is going to look. 5 games to open the season up this Friday, and then 2 triple headers, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And we get Pistons and Flyers to open the season up. It seems like that's always seemingly being the case as of recent. These teams playing each other quite a bit. I'm not sure if they opened the season up against each other last year off the top of my head, but they get a home and home to start things off. First matchup in Winkler on Friday night, and then we're going to be seeing the second game between those two this weekend in Steinbach's beautiful new home in Steinbach, Manitoba. We'll get into more news around the Manitoba hockey scene in just a little bit here, but before we do that, well, I guess we'll continue with some news, previewing this year's Central Plains Capitals showcase with Ferdi Nelissen. Well, giving you some basic information, telling you what the showcase is all about, the purpose of the showcase, all that great stuff. Ferdy's going to be joining the show next to talk about that with myself, Graham the G Show Forsyth, your host of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast on G Show Productions, gshow.ca. We're going to send it to a commercial break, and then Ferdy joins the show next. Commercial break, courtesy, by the way, of Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. It's the tournament organizer of the Central Plains Capitals 2025 Female Showcase, Ferdi Nelissen, joining this edition of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast. Ferdi, I'm excited. We're days away now as tournament kicks off on Friday in Port La Prairie. You're going to have 14 games covered, and you're going to cover, some high-intensity, high-level hockey here in the preseason. Let the viewers know what exactly the Capitals Showcase is, when it started, and stuff like that.
Well, this is our 15th season. I started it, I guess, back in 2010. There wasn't much of no showcases around in Manitoba, and we thought it would be a good way to start the preseason, get teams going, and it's been pretty consistent. We've gotten anywhere from 11 to, I think the highest we've had is 13 or 14 teams, but it's a good way to kick off the season for all the teams. It starts Friday, 10:30 at Stride Place, and the last game starts on Sunday at 1:30 Stride Place. So we're 22 games. We're excited about it. They're all three period full 20 minutes, unlike some other showcases where they'll go 14, 15-minute periods or 2 15s and a 20. We run full 320s.
Yeah.
Every team gets 4 games.
Yeah, and that's huge, I think, especially with how close the regular season truly is to start. And I know for the MFHL itself, which has most of the teams in the tournament, it's coming right up near the end of this month here in September. But Yeah, the benefits of not only having that, but also two rinks so you can maximize the potential of games that you can have, as there's going to be 22 in total this year with the 11 teams. But yeah, take us through, I guess, the benefits you've seen from these teams throughout the past that have competed in this tournament to get ramped up for their season.
Well, number one, they do get ready for the season. They sort of get a feel for where they are. Most of the teams have probably played anywhere from 3 to 4 exhibition games already. I would assume, like, the Avros and Eastman have gone out to Ontario. Other teams have played just exhibitions. Westman was out in Calgary. So it's not like it'll be their first games, but for some teams it might. Some have probably maybe only played one or two. Um, but it goes a little bit beyond that because, like I say, an integral part of it is which you'll be handling for us this year. It will be the streaming on the main rink where I place most of the games, 14 of the 22. And we stream those so that college and university um, coaches can watch or go to the archive games and watch later. And we've used it as a tool to try and promote the players. And it's worked out really well. Over the years, we've had, lots of compliments about the fact that that's where players have been seen and then contacted. And it's the start of maybe moving forward to an opportunity to play post-secondary down the road. And that's
Yeah.
a big part of why I wanted to start the showcase too, is also to promote, especially the Manitoba players.
Yeah, and like you said, you started this back in 2010. Now, I'm not sure how the streaming technology was back then, but you already talked about how huge of
But
an
you will
element
tell
that.
you the truth. Yeah, it was, back then it was hockey TV, which wasn't bad.
Right.
But I mean, we never had a professional play-by-play guy like we're going to have this year. So, up in the ante,
For
and
sure.
and it's going to be good. It's a great venue. Stride Place is a great venue to stream from, especially the main rink. It's got good press boxes. It's got good viewing. It's an ideal rink uh, to showcase this kind of caliber of event.
Yeah, and not only Manitoban teams are going to be competing, but CSSHL team and Pilot Mound Hockey Academy also reigns from Manitoba, as well as two Saskatchewan teams, Prince Albert Northern Bears and the Weyburn Goldwings. Talk about how huge that's been to seemingly get that consistency year in, year out of seeing a team like Weyburn come back consistently, as we've seen them compete in this tournament many times throughout the year. It's how huge that is to get some Saskatchewan competition in here.
Well, it's nice to see where the teams stack up. I mean, Weyburn has been, at one point had actually won an SO Cup. And from that point, Saskatchewan operates a little differently than us. They're open zone, so it's a smaller community. So they've struggled to get some players. But last year they were here. They tied the ice.
Yeah.
We're perennial lately a powerhouse in our league, one of the top 2 or 3 teams every year. They lost a real tight one to Yellowhead, who's always a tough team, and they beat Vancouver Island because we had the 2 BC teams here last year, and then they lost to Westman, so they were very competitive. PA wasn't here last year, but they've been here before, and they finished, you know, ahead of Weyburn in the standings in Saskatchewan last year, and very close to and Notre Dame, and they were middle of the pack. They've always been a tough team. Saskatchewan has a 7-team league, and they don't have any sports schools to compete with, so their rosters are fairly strong, and they come here and they compete. Um, Unfortunately, this weekend is the Sask first weekend where a lot of players are attending their POE program, like we had
Right.
last weekend or 2 weekends ago, when our team Manitoba played the U of M Bisons. If I can ever get that on the same page, maybe we'd even get more teams. It's up and down. And this year, the BC teams wanted to come back, but they started their league early for some reason. So we'll see what happens with that next year. It's always nice to have that, content from outside of province.
No, no doubt. Just grows the number of eyes that are going to be on this showcase in particular, right? Which brings in quite a few spectators in the arena and quite a few spectators through to the streams. And yeah, a lot of moving parts seemingly year in and year out in the hockey world. It's crazy that BC leagues have already started their seasons. But again, on the streaming, how huge of a tool that truly is, because like we've talked about before, off air too, not everyone's going to be able to make it out to the rink. Not every parent's going to be able to make that trip. And college scouts, coaches that may be interested, that just gives them another outlet. So as you know, things have evolved throughout these past 15 years, and you've added the streaming into it. Would you say that maybe this is the most complete the showcase has ever been in terms of a resource standpoint?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's in streaming tool is, it's hard to put a measure on it. I mean, you know, we have been told in the past that we've had upwards of 130 to 135 schools watch various games, which, means the players are getting the visibility, and that's important to promote the players in our league and Saskatchewan and the sports schools as well. I mean, it's you're trying to get these players post-secondary opportunities. So having quality streaming like you're going to provide us is huge. It's huge. I it's these coaches, the coaching staffs for what a lot of people don't realize, especially on the female side, the coaching staffs are their scouts for the most part. Some universities will utilize some other people and get people, but for the most part, they are their own scouts. They'll phone people or talk to people, but when they can get a look at quality video, and if it's up there, archived, then they can go back and they can look and they can check. And when they're interested, it's for me, it's you can't put a price on it. It makes the whole showcase a much more valuable tool than just okay, we're going to get some games. Okay, yeah, we're hoping some universities, because there's less and less universities attending these events because of the quality of their programs and how much they play preseason, and especially once they start playing, because the coaches are going to stick with their team. So the opportunity to provide them uh, the chance to watch these players is huge. It's huge.
Yeah, and we're really excited to be a part of that process this year, as it's our first time ever doing the Central Plains Showcase down in Portage La Prairie. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend outside of the capital of Manitoba here in Winnipeg, where I usually stay, Ferdy. But last question, even though
But you
we
can't
have
get lost. Just straight down the Trans Canada Grid.
well, you're right. Gonna be quite concerning if I get lost somehow on my way there, but even all the technology we have nowadays too, Ferdy. But one last question. Like you said, normal 20-minute periods, all three. Do we see any overtime or do we just end in ties?
No, they end in ties. It's you're coming, you're playing 4 exhibition games, and they play it to a tie. If it's a tie, it's a tie.
Yeah,
We're trying to stick to the schedule I've allotted. What I think is a good amount of time, but you never know what happens with overtime and shootouts.
for sure.
And I think the teams are okay with that. They just want to get quality um, ice time for their players. They want to see where they're at, the coaches, and when you get, like I say, it's hard nowadays to find any showcase, um, most of them that are offering you 3 20-minute periods, a full game. So um, we've that's the way we've always operated it, and the other reason we operated it that way to start with was if you call it a tournament and you have a competition.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
the U.S. schools can't talk to your players if they come up, and we've had numerous NCAA and ACHA. Although I don't know if the ACHA schools have the same rules, but NCAA, they're not allowed to communicate with a player during a competition, which a tournament is because it plays to a championship. A showcase is just that. It's a series of exhibition games where you're showcasing the talents of the players, and that's one of the reasons I've kept it as a showcase.
Yeah, and I think, hey, I mean, why not? It opens the door to a lot more visibility on these players, which yeah, we'll get to take a look at all of these teams coming up. Starting this Friday morning, Interlake Lightning and the host team, the Central Plains Capitals, kicking things off at 10:30 a.m. on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. Ferdi, I'm gonna see you at the rink plenty this weekend coming up. Can't wait.
Well, we have a
Like I said.
hospitality room you can utilize, Graham.
Hospitality room, I like that. I like that a lot. I'll keep that in mind, Freddie. Can't wait to see you and all the great action coming up this weekend.
Oh, we really appreciate that you're doing this for us. Absolutely. It's going to be great.
And Ferdi Nelissen joining this edition of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast to talk about, yeah, the upcoming Central Plains Capitals Showcase, which will be held this upcoming Friday until Sunday in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. We're going to be covering 14 out of the 22 games on the main rink at Stride Place Arena. Weekend pass is $35 for 14 games, that type of value. And then if you want to buy just one of the games, it would be $5 for that price. We're currently working out a solution so that if you do purchase the live event, you'll be able to watch it afterwards. So we'll have that information all on Thursday on our network, on our social media pages, and on the MFHL podcast, which is coming up on Thursday. Ferdy is going to be joining that show to cover the teams that are going to be in the showcase, as I should say, not the tournament. But yeah, we're going to preview those 11 teams, the MFHL teams, and the others like Piled Hockey Academy from the CSSHL, and the two from the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, and the Weyburn Gold Wings and the Prince Albert Northern Bears. We're going to be talking about some Winnipeg Jets content coming up soon here, but I just want to go through some more news from around the different U22 leagues here around the province, university hockey, as well as we get into that next. As for the U of M female Bisons, the women's Bisons, as I should say, successful weekend, I'd say, for them. Two close games. They were able to come out with a 1-0 win in Yorkton on Saturday, and they ended up playing another game on Sunday in Yorkton, dropping that one 3-2 in the shootout to the University of Regina Cougars. As for this University of Manitoba Bison's team, almost called them Team Manitoba for some reason, but as for the U of M, their regular season kicks off on Friday, October 10th, at home at Wayne Fleming Arena against the University of Regina Cougars. So a chance to get revenge coming up when the games truly do matter for the U of M Bisons. As for news from around Hockey Manitoba, is taking a look at their Instagram page. We're going to be posting a lot of their updates on here this season because I think it's just great for you, the viewer, and the hockey community to know this. So yeah, it's National Coaches Week. Team Manitoba posting about this, a week to celebrate coaches, thanking them for their time, effort, and sacrifice that they put into this great game. Be sure to visit the link in Hockey Manitoba's bio on their Instagram to see the celebration of National Coaches Week, and to see how you can get involved today as well. As for some clinics going on currently in the province of Manitoba, there was the high performance officials training that happened. That's not what we're going to talk about right now, though. Just trying to see where I ended up seeing this early on. I don't understand where this ended up going, but this was supposed to be the Team Manitoba first week, I believe. I was talking about, for some reason. Can't seem to find it now, but yeah, celebrating females in Manitoba hockey. This is what this weekend was all about. I believe it was called Manitoba First weekend that happened. celebrating female hockey. I'm not quite sure. I can't seem to find it anywhere on Hockey Manitoba's social media anymore, which is quite strange. Take a look at it. But moving on, by the way, you can check out all these posts at Hockey Manitoba on Instagram. But there was high performance officials recertification and testing in Portage La Prairie this past weekend. This is just one of the pictures that they posted out of the 4 on this post. Hockey Manitoba supporting the officials and, the recertification and the testing programs here in the province to make sure that they got the most knowledgeable officials out there as possible. So shout out to them for being able to do that. And by the way, 2026 provincial host applications are open now. Be sure to check out hockeymanitoba.ca for more information, as well as checking out their Instagram, of course. But right now, all the information about hosting can be found in the link in their bio on their Instagram at Hockey Manitoba on IG. We are going to take one last little break here, and then I'll be back to talk about Johnny Taves, the hometown kid, but he's way older than I am, so hometown man coming back and making his return to the NHL this year. How will it benefit the Jets? I think it could quite positively, depending on how Jonathan Taves is used this season. More on that coming up next on the Manitoba Hockey Podcast here on gshow Productions on gshow.ca. And welcome back to the Manitoba Hockey Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. Thank you to Kevin Saurette as well as Ferdi Nelissen for being the guest on this episode. And yeah, strange. It's like the Mandela effect, I think they refer to. When you see something, then it's different or not there anymore. That's what just happened to me with what I thought I was talking about Manitoba first weekend, but I guess not. I guess that just didn't exist, and I pulled that screenshot out of thin air. But if you ever do find that post that I was talking about, please let me know, because that'll confirm that I wasn't going totally crazy. But crazy thing about this hockey community is just, and in a good way, is how people come together to support wonderful causes, and that's what the hockey community's been doing with Carter Rush Wilson, a former St. Vital Junior Victoria's defenseman, former coach. Unfortunately passed away due to losing his battle to brain cancer. Carter was only 9 days away from his 19th birthday when they ended up finding the cancer on a lesion in his brain. And through a great battle that Carter displayed, great fight throughout this time, trying to fight and continue to live and beat the terrible disease of cancer. He unfortunately did lose his battle. Devastating for the hockey community, as Carter was quite a big figure in the hockey community, especially in St. Vital. Not only did his teammates love him on the St. Vital Junior Victorias, but he was also able to have a chance to coach at the U13 level last year, and all of the players that played for Carter on that team loved him too. He will not be forgotten. He will be missed severely this year by not only his teammates, but most importantly his father, Dave Wilson, and the rest of the Wilson family, his loved ones that are closest to him. And the great thing about the hockey community is that they've come together to put together a fundraiser on GoFundMe.com, organized by Garth Hazlitt, and it's raised close to $34,000 at this point. $40,000 is the goal. I've been meaning to donate. We'll be donating this week. I said I'd be donating last week, but there's some just a bunch of busy stuff on the schedule and was meaning to, but haven't been able to get a chance to do it going to this week. And hey, if you don't have a chance to donate, if you're unable to, that's okay, as long as we're getting the word out about this. Let's get this to 40,000 in honor of Carter Rush Wilson, as all this money, it will be helping the family in the process of putting together a funeral and stuff like that. All expenses going to the Wilson family. Any amount does truly help. And by the way, we have linked the fundraiser in the description of this episode too, so it'll make it easier for you to find it instead of searching for it. But another fundraiser that's happening right now in the hockey community, this for a university program. I just got a text tonight from a player, Bailey Grunwald, who is going to be a goaltender for that team this year. And yeah, it's a fundraiser that Minot State, the Beavers, are putting on right now for their women's hockey team to help pay for travel expenses. I've put the link to that fundraiser in the bio. Consider helping out Manitoba talent, by the way, if that entices you anymore. It does play for the Minot State Beavers, that women's program, so taking that into consideration, helping out a team in the community, in the amateur sports community. I think that that's exactly what we're all about here, and that's why we've put it in the description of this episode. If you want to help fundraise for this year's Minot State Beavers women's program, be sure to donate today in the link in the description, as it's all there in this second episode of Season 2. As mentioned, Jonathan Toews, going to end off with talking about him, and this is pretty unreal to finally see him in a Winnipeg Jets jersey. I know finally might sound like a strange word, but I remember growing up watching the Prime Hawks and thinking, man, now that the Jets are back, imagine getting Jonathan Toews. The days finally happened. This summer, as Toews announced his return to the NHL, I know at the time it was rumored that it was between the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche, but Toews ultimately choosing to return to the NHL, donning his hometown jersey, now a Winnipeg Jet. As that picture from the Winnipeg Free Press, you can see him there with a Jets jersey on when he was a kid. Toews spoke about just his time growing up watching the Jets, this being a quote from his first press conference, being a young kid, going to the Winnipeg Arena and watching games and just being in that atmosphere. It's hard to imagine much about what's going on down on the ice, but just something about the action, the energy, the whiteouts, and just being a part of that. I just caught the bug and became passionate for the game, and of course, he gets to live out that passion, that dream of playing for his hometown Jets coming up this season. And as for Winnipeg, the contract that Jonathan Toews ends up signing, only $2 million for 1 year. This is a player that, of course, has been away for the past few years due to health concerns, health issues, long COVID being something that he's dealt with, but he's been training. He's been getting prepared for this moment to come back, and he's going to be slotted in as the second line center on a Jets team that is going to be lacking down the middle to start off this season, with Adam Lowry missing a bit of time to start off the year due to having surgery. So Toews, not only is he going to be coming back in playing in the NHL for his hometown team, but getting a prominent role as well. Going to be playing second-line center minutes. This is a player that I feel like the Jets, especially early on in the season, are going to test him out in some different situations, see what works best for Jonathan Toews, or maybe not. Maybe they're just set on having him second-line center, but maybe in terms of the minutes, how many minutes Jonathan Toews is going to be getting this season. It's going to be quite interesting. The last time he played, he averaged 17 minutes and 43 seconds per night. I could see him getting something close to that to start off with this Jets squad. Of course, with Lowry being out, maybe that changes things a bit, because that's third line is a line that the Jets, have gone to a lot in these past few seasons and have relied upon heavily. But Jonathan Toews, him becoming your second line centerman, you look at what he's done so well throughout his career, and that's winning faceoffs and being really sound defensively. And he's proven throughout his career too that he can put up offensive numbers when he's at his very best. Even though he was never a point per game player, he's still been able to put up solid point production throughout his career. And as for being a two-way player, 81 points in 82 games back in 2018-19 was quite impressive. But that's quite a few years ago now. He hasn't played NHL hockey since 2022-2023, where he put up 31 points in 53 games. But if I'm the Winnipeg Jets and I make this move, not only are you making this move for the type of talent that Jonathan Toews has, his leadership, his cup resume, but you're also making this move, I think, even though it might not be said, but just to potentially get more fans, even more fans than there already are, interested in this team. And this is just such a cool story of Jonathan Toews coming back and maybe ending his career here in Winnipeg. Maybe he plays for a few years after this. I think that's a really cool part about this all. And I think for Jonathan Toews, if the Jets do use him right, and knowing that he's coming back and he's at 100% for what he's at now, we're probably going to get good production out of Jonathan Toews if he's playing around those 17 minutes per game. Maybe you cut that down just a bit, but he's playing with players like Ferdi and Nyquist. Ferdi, a smart player. Nyquist, a player that isn't what he once was, but a player that I think could step in nicely into the top six role. Now, this team in general, with Nikolai Ehlers gone this year, going to see less creativity maybe throughout that top six, but you go out and get Jonathan Toews, a big-time player with a legendary resume here in the NHL, Stanley Cup championship experience, coming to a team that won the President's Trophy last year, made it to the second round, and were a game away from making it back to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2017-18. This move for the Jets, even though they end up losing some good talent up front, they gain some experience in Toews, and a player that, if you simplify his role enough, even though you're going to be expecting to put up, some big-time moments in that second-line center role, but if he's able to simplify his game, do his job, which is just playing good, shut-down defensive hockey first, taking care of the face-off circle, and if he's able to rely on the talent around him, I think that Jonathan Toews, this experiment, it could work out quite nice for Winnipeg this year, and that novelty of him being here and being from Winnipeg, that's something this franchise hasn't had the luxury of having before either. So I think just the aspect of that is really neat. And another thing too is that you add another solid penalty killer into the mix by adding Jonathan Toews. The big question is he going to be anywhere close to his former self? I don't think he comes back if he doesn't think he can make an impact, and I think that's exactly what Jonathan Toews could do this season. We take a look at him actually in a Jets jersey, where this was posted by Sportsnet a few weeks ago now. Credit to them, Sportsnet on X's, where we got this picture from. But yeah, great to hear that Luke Shen has also said he's looked fantastic so far. Looks like the usual Jonathan Toews, basically. And yeah, I'm hoping we get that this year, because that would be huge for this Jets team, who will definitely need it. He's going to be big time. He has to be, especially early on in the season, where the captain, Adam Lowry, is going to be missing some time. Yeah, that's all for this edition of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast, everybody. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Movement Fitness and Performance, and Terrico for sponsoring this edition of the show. We'll be back next Monday at noon. Noon is when episode 3 will come out for season 2 next week for an all-new edition of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast. We will have the guest list the day of the very late. It's going to be a very busy week for us coming up, as of course we got the Central Plains Capitals Showcase, 11 teams all competing in this week's showcase. That's going to be a lot of fun. Be sure to check it out on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. But until next time, folks, for the Manitoba Hockey Podcast, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, waving so long and giving you a peace out on this Monday night. Until noon, 7 days from now. We'll see you then, Manitoba hockey fans. Take care.